All right, hello. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Day 10. We're on day 10. Today is day 10 of taking action. So hooray for that. I realize I get rambly when I don't have much structure to these videos. So I'm actually trying to not write things out, but I'm giving myself 3 bullet points and trying to not go on tangents off of those bullet points. Anyway, that was the framing sort of above the bullet point. Now we'll move on to the first bullet point, which is my incremental thing of the day. That is finally went back to some of the woodworking stuff. So remember, one of our day's tasks was to laminate some blanks to cut out. This is just a template, but handles for the frame saw, because the handles that I had started working on not so great. Anyway, if you remember, I showed you these in previews, and now I can actually see myself, so I know that these things are in frame. Although the lighting isn't great. And I went ahead and laminated these up. Did plane them so they were flat, because I basically just took 2 boards and was not particularly precise. Didn't bother squaring them up before we laminated them, but we got them laminated. They're good. They're very oversized for what we need. So then another task was just, all right, making the marks. And I'm pleased to show that one of the blanks is now down to a reasonable size. So look at that. I'd say squared up the ends. I always get very almost all the way through, and then at the very end the saw blade starts to tilt out, and I don't notice I'm doing it. I gotta just muscle memory. Not muscle memory. I don't know, training. I don't know. I'll eventually get better at it. But you can see, looking at the template, look at that. We've got a well-sized thing. Still got a bit of extra on the edges, which is good. And this is exactly where I want this to be, because the next step will actually be that, so the rails go in here and here. I'm looking at me on the camera, so I can, I don't know. Well, yeah, because I can't see the thing. So the rails actually go in a fair bit. What am I doing? It's backwards, yeah. In a fair bit. So what I will do is just invert this and then actually chop out the mortises while this is square, and will lay flat on a workbench, as opposed to the other blanks that will not. And importantly, what I'm going to do this time is make sure that when the chisel goes in here, it's going to go in, the chisel cuts are going to be like this, and not like this, where they will split this piece in 2. So, it's actually worth, I guess it's worth calling out. So one of the things that I used to do as a very newbie person is, because I would be very scared of making saw cuts. I guess for this I would need the larger one. So if you're like me and you try to leave yourself a whole bunch of excess because you're scared you're going to screw stuff up, you may end up with something that's very tall, and you need to get it down to, for comparison, there's that much excess. So I left myself a whole bunch of extra to work to. Now there are some options. One is you can put this up and then try and saw it down, and I get very nervous that I'm just going to have incorrectable saw drift and it gets all crazy. Another option is you can sit here and take a hand plane and go at this over and over again. That's also pretty miserable. What I ended up doing was I just made a bunch of cuts vertically down to, just down to my marking line, every 2 inches or so, and then just came at it at the side with the chisel, and honestly it takes like a tap, and this square will separate. You just fling it off to square separate, and then you can use a hand plane to clean it up at the very end. So excited to have one blank done. We'll go ahead and actually chop out the mortises, and then I actually have an assemblable thing. It just won't have shaped handles, and then we can worry about the actual handle shaping later on. So that'll be pretty fun and awesome and neat. Okay, let's get into the check-in. Switch my screen here. Here we go. And yeah, so actions. We're at day 10. So 1 saw handle blank. I still got the other one to do. One of the things that's rough about being down here is I'm directly below my son's room. So late night chiseling and hammering is not the best. So I'm working on some solutions to that. But we'll eventually get the other handle blank done too. I added one more habit for today. Remember, the goal is every day to either add or evolve a habit. Actually, I should probably be more explicit. It's just write 100 words is the habit for today. And I did go through and wrote 100 words. I remember reading somewhere that you don't really understand what you think about something until you start writing it down. So I don't know if that's true, but you know what? Writing does feel like a habit that I've. It's not that I haven't done it before, but it's hard. I don't know. I feel like it's like running, where it takes a while before you really start to see, like running and meditation, where it takes a while before you really start to see the benefit. And even then, you're always going to be like, is that really the benefit, or is it just like seasonally things are better right now? I don't know. Anyway, we'll give it a shot. We'll see if we'll see if that helps. We can go ahead and mark off record a video. Went easy on the treadmill today because just wasn't feeling it. Yeah, that's fine. The last thing I wanted to go through was actually doing a review of these habits. How helpful they are, how useful they are, and yeah, so kind of going through these one by one, recording a video. I'm having fun doing this. I think it's helping me to be accountable, and it's giving me a good. It is helpful because I go to I'm like, all right, it's time to record, and then I realize, oh, you know what, I haven't done like X, Y, or Z. Let me go ahead and wrap that up real quick. So it's nice to have sort of a forcing function to. That's not the right term, but a mechanism to force me to try and wrap things up. The 15 minutes on the stationary bike, honestly, I think is going really well. It's dull. It doesn't seem to matter whether I'm listening to audiobooks or podcasts or music. It does seem to drag on for a while. Yesterday I was really craving a run, and so it was a lot easier. So I don't know. Maybe this will get a little bit better over time. But we'll see. Drinking 2 glasses of water is. I mean, it is what it is. I think it's going to be more important once I start actually eating healthier too. But we'll get there. Setting alarm for 7 a.m. or earlier. I did want to talk about this one because now that I'm back at work and work has been a little crazy, and will probably be a little crazy for the next couple weeks. I have set the alarm for 7 or earlier, but there have also been days where I'm going to sleep at 3 or 4 in the morning, which means I set it and I wake up and I snooze or I turn it off and I get up later, which is fine. The habit is explicitly not get up at 7. It is set the alarm for 7. Now, I know that what I want to get out of this is to be an early riser, to get up and have some time in the morning before interacting with other people that I just have to myself, and I can get my stuff together. I don't know if that's going to happen within the next couple weeks. And I do get nervous about, if I eventually want to be the type of person who's getting up at 5 a.m., can I balance that with also wanting to, occasionally play D&D with family members after my son goes to bed? So 8:30 till 11:30, and then getting up at 5. I mean, it's still 5 hours if I can fall asleep right away. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like. I really don't want to give up good social habits, because I've been a person who's lived a long time without good social habits, and that's not particularly healthy. The meditation, I don't know. I feel like it's this is always an issue with me, is that when I start doing meditation, I feel like I'm meditating, and then I just realize, and now it's just at the point where I'm used to the habit again, and so it feels like I turn on the timer, and then I close my eyes, and I try and meditate for about 3 seconds, and then I spend the whole rest of the time just thinking about something, like prepping an email or something in my head, and then the alarm goes off, and I was like, oh yeah, whoops, that's what I was doing. We'll see how that goes. I need to ramp up the amount of time, because I think there are. You'll naturally catch yourself in those diversions, and bringing yourself back is really most of the practice anyway. But when it's only 2 minutes, there's not a lot of time for you to get sidetracked and then bring yourself back. So, if this were 10 minutes, I doubt I'd spend 10 minutes composing the email. I'd be able to get off track, bring myself back, get off track, bring myself back a couple more times. And then, adding the writing 100 words. I do think that probably over the next couple weeks, well, no, I take that. There'll be some stuff to do with diet that I think we'll add on here, but I want to keep this stuff rather. I don't want to say small. I want to keep it rather modest, though, because I want to make sure that this is sustainable. Um, it's getting to the point where just brainstorming, like, oh shoot, what's the next thing I'm going to add, is starting to be a stressor in and of itself, which isn't great. Um, and yeah, better that we say, all right, well, let's just increment meditation by a minute, and we could do that for a whole week, just up the dose by a minute, every day. Obviously, that's going to be particularly boring, but whatever. Anyway, that's just kind of where my head is at with this stuff. We'll see. On Sunday we'll do a check-in. I don't expect any any changes to weight or anything else. We'll see how sleep is. But yeah, this has been a fantastic week for sleep. But you know what? Just filling out the sheet is a victory in and of itself. So we'll go ahead, and go with that. And then, yeah, I'm really of two minds, because part of me really wants to ramp things up and say, all right, cool, we've established the habit of performing habits, but let's actually do stuff that's going to really move the needle. And then part of me is just saying, like, look, don't rock the boat. It'll be very easy to get off track if you try and move too quickly. Yeah, I think the other thing is that, particularly because sleep schedule hasn't been great, there's no consistent time when any of these are happening. It's not like I'm drinking a glass of water in the morning and one in the evening, or the stationary bike is right away in the morning, or it's just whenever. And I think that's true with all of this. Is just squeezing it. Oh, phone powered off for an hour. Skipped over that one. That's also great so far. It's only 2 days, but whatever. But yeah, knowing that these aren't habits that are triggered or attached to other things makes them a little more suspect. Makes it easier to just not do them. If it was like, all right, as soon as I wake up, I drink a glass of water, then that's a lot easier to stick to, and not something that I have to think about. Right now, really, it is the recording of the video that makes me go look at this and check off the things that are still open. Yeah, maybe that should be a separate. That doesn't quite fit into the framework, but that should be probably a separate goal of, all right, let's try and anchor these habits to something, and try and do that in such a way that it can accommodate, schedules that aren't necessarily consistent. Anyway, yeah, so I've technically stuck to my 3 bullet points. We'll go with that. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you tomorrow. Cheers.